Hey, so when you guys come on, I'm so excited. I'm going to try to do lives more with you guys, with the family, because I know that you all love lives and you like lives. I don't know why, but I'm here. So thank you to those that are able to tune in today. I'm gonna wait as you start to come in the building. Keep coming on in, keep coming on in. What's up, family? What's up, family? Come on in the building. Come on in the building. Hey, greetings. Yes, everyone's coming through. Thank you. Thank you for jumping over here to the session. So we are in day 3. Let's take a couple of breaths for that. How are you guys feeling on day 3? Do you feel renewed? Do you feel strengthened, empowered? Do you feel ready to go? Do you feel more clear about your journey? Because that is the goal. I'm so excited, you guys. Okay, so as you guys are coming in, y'all are pouring. Thank you for the response. Okay, so day 3. And as you guys know, I have my notebook, so excited. Day 3. After we went through reframing the blockages. So day 1 was all about reframing the blockages. We talked about what the blockages were, how to identify, how to acknowledge them, how to move forward and really truly access your inner power being, your higher self, your God or goddess energy, the energy that is going to take you to elevate during this time. So what I will be talking about during this season. Now, everyone knows the Lions Gate was 8/8/20. So with the Lions Gate, it is not just one day. So the energy started weeks ago on the 29th of July. And now we are in the Lions Gate. We're kind of in like a portal. That's why they call it a portal, right? Lionsgate portal. Because the energy is a continuation of energy and it has not stopped. So when it started on the 29th all the way up into the 8th was supposed to be like its highest point. Well, the Lionsgate highest point was not, I guess energetically in the energy, it shifted. It was the highest point of the 8th. But the energy of the Lionsgate was able to be maintained for a couple of days. So it was not just one day. It has been the course of weeks or couple of days, and the Lionsgate portal is still at its highest point. It has not reached a point where it's starting to die down yet. So just like a lot of other energies, when you're able to harness energy, like when the star Sirius had aligned over the pyramid of Giza, it had held a point of energy within our vortex, within our body, within our spirit, and within our soul, certain points within our body and our spirit and our soul. It was able to lock in some coding for our bodies. It was able to not only lock into our bodies, but lock into a macro level. Remember, everything is macro and micro combined. So at a macro level, it was able to lock in information of what is going on with the Lionsgate. Now, if you are very intuitive or if you have some sort of sense where you're connecting with the divine, whether it's out in nature, whether it's in your home, wherever it is, if you are connecting with the divine in some sort of way, then this energy, you will feel the shift quickly. You are able to still meditate and get a lot of information and a lot of energy and feel at its highest. It's still at its highest point. So please don't get confused about the Lionsgate and what you should be doing. So I want to get into that as well, but I also want to talk about day 3 of elevated consciousness, because if you've been on the journey with us, you've known that we have been working a 6-day series of elevated consciousness. This is where we shift our lower self or our 3D dimension or third density person into a higher level person, moving into the 4th D and the 5th D of the dimensions, trying to elevate our spirit and our souls so we can make sure that we're in alignment with our higher self, with our path, with our journey, with what we're supposed to be doing in life. I decided to go live today, and I will probably be going live for the next few days on the 6-day elevated consciousness, because it's easier for me and I want to make it very easy for you as well for me. So day one, I talked about reframing the blockages. We went over how conscious blockages, and I want to reiterate, conscious is just our thought process. It's being in the now, it's being in the present. Conscious is what you think about. So how are the things that you think about blocking you from your higher self or your destiny or your pathway? So we reframe those blockages by, number one, identifying what they might be. We first had to find out, what are our blockages? What are the things that we're thinking about from now or the past? How are they affecting our life to stopping us to get to the highest point or the highest version of ourselves? So we went over how to identify that. And number one, you identify it by noticing, what are the things that I am connected to? What are the things that I tell myself, that I speak over myself, or things that I have heard to make sure, or that has given me this energy of adopting this in the present tense? So what have I been focusing on that is giving me the energy to adopt this motion of creating my reality over and over and over in a negative sense? So anything that you've been thinking about, anything that you have done from the past, or things that could have been brought from the past, whether it be a relationship with yourself or whether it be relationship with others, these are certain things that were created and brought into your reality. Okay, that is how you begin to identify. So if you want to catch that out, go to the first video. I went over all of that on how you can identify. And then number two, acknowledge. Acknowledgement was very important on day one, as we know, because acknowledgement dealt with being able to accept and receive things that we might not normally be ready to receive, or things we've been in denial about. So now we've reached day three. So after day one, we went to day two, and day two was opening the blockages. And that was a long, deep meditation, guided meditation that went over how we're opening up the blockages. How are these blockages coming? How are we breaking down the walls of our blockages? So we went through day two. So now we're here at day three. So day three, super excited about. This is the opening of the Neo, or getting to know. It's becoming the Neo, excuse me. Becoming the Neo, which is all about becoming the self. So one thing that you probably identified yesterday that you did not identify today was that you have come into a position of empowerment. You've come into a position of power over your life, over the direction of your life, and the course in which you want to take it. So that has given you some sense of responsibility. So when we talk about responsibility, we begin to talk about becoming the Neo. So if you guys don't know, you've seen The Matrix, I'm sure you have. With The Matrix, I don't like this echo. I'm supposed to be getting a mic here, so I wanted to open up the door, but I'll just leave it closed for now. But with becoming the Neo, if you've seen The Matrix, you know how Neo was literally, it took him like 2 or 3 times, literally down like another series after you have The Matrix, and then the Return of the Matrix, or whatever it was called, the second part, part 2, part 3. It took him a while to really become Neo. He did not immediately become Neo from the beginning. So when we talk about Neo, we're talking about the one, the self, the you, the self-identifying, the I am, the God force energy. So when we talk about God force, we're talking about 0 point. So you can write this down. The 0 point is the beginning of self. It is like when you start as an embryo or start as a baby. It's literally 0 point. You become a dot. You start as a blank black dot. That's the infinite ability of source. So when you start as the blank black dot, the source, the nothingness, the 0 point, when you start at that point, you're able to create and build and remove and actually restructure your Neo self. into whatever it is that you need to be. Good morning. So when you're restructuring your neo self and building yourself back up into the one, into the neo, your body is the first point of contact. So when we talk about the first point of contact, we're talking about the physical body. That means you're able to shift your reality. You're able to do things from the physical body. So whether it's mental, in the mental space, and as people are coming on in, I am accepting and I am receiving all of the blessings that are coming in, you guys. So keep coming in. We're join on in. But as the mental point, or as the first point, it is your body. We call this in spirituality our altar. The reason why people reference the altar as your body is because it's the first point of contact. That is where energy flows through you, in and out. It flows through you, in and out. So whether you meditate, whether you have spirit guides that you work with, and you have a physical altar, then you're talking about the first point of contact, which is your first altar. And this is why you have to, when you become the neo, you're taking and getting close and connected to the first altar. To all of my wrenches out there, if you have a wrench, please respond. This live will be saved. It will be up on the YouTube channel. So make sure you respond, connect, allow them, give them all the information. Tell them to follow me on Instagram and all of that stuff. You guys know what to do. So, so I can continue to flow because Spirit is flowing through me, and I don't want to miss the messages that Spirit is giving. So, as the first altar, it is your body, it is your vessel. So when you have your body and your vessel as a first altar, then you start to come into some point of empowerment, because then you realize you can shift your reality through the first altar, which is yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, your breath, ka, and your soul, your being. So that is why when people begin to connect with their altar, it's important that you wake up and you take deep breaths, because your breath, your ka, is the connection. It is the life force between the first altar, the second, third, and fourth. And we'll get into those. So while you're rebuilding and literally rebuilding on the first altar, you begin to take care of your body. You begin to notice the different things about your body. You begin to feel different things. You might not want to eat certain things. You might be connected to different things physically, emotionally. You want to disconnect from things naturally. That is because your first body, your altar, has now begun to make a transition. It does not want to be or feel connected to the things that it was connected to in the past. So it begins to make a transition and a shift into acknowledgement of self, becoming the neo, the one, knowing that all reality can be created through you, through your thoughts, through your mental space, through your words, through empowerment of how you feel, your feelings. So that's why you might not want to be in a certain area, a certain space. You might not want to be around certain people. It might make it harder for you to manifest or create your reality around certain people. So then when you realize that you have to disconnect from these people, you know why. It is because when you become the neo, you are now becoming the one with yourself, your higher self, you, your physical body, the first altar in the third dimension. And then you have now connected all of those points into one to create or to shift or to form your reality. So that is exactly why when you have transitioned from reframing the blockages to opening the blockages up, all of you now are connected with your higher self. So now your higher self is going to guide you through your altar on different things that you should be doing and different things that you should not be doing. So you will feel the changes within your body first. So let's talk about different levels of spirituality. So when we talk about different levels of spirituality, we are talking about altar spaces. So before we get into that, you guys be sure to share, like the video, like it so we can get more people to know what is going on. That is how everyone knows that I'm live, is through the likes. So make sure you like this video. But when we're talking about the different levels of your altar space, we're going to get into spiritual systems. So the first level of your altar space is your body. So make sure you conduct and feed your body. Feed your body wisdom, knowledge, new books, new things, ideas, creating. Feed your body and your vessel those things. Water, getting out in nature, connecting with the divine energy. Those is how you feed or how you take care of the first altar. Body, through your body, you want to make sure you're cleansing. Cleansing is very, very important with the first altar. Removing energies away from your vessel, out of your body, old ways, flushing, detoxing. Detoxing is one of them because it refreshes, it removes the old stagnant energy or the old stagnant things that were in your body out. It removes it out. So when we talk about the altar spaces, we begin to talk about second and third altars. So second and third altars are altars that we have in the physical dimension. So we're not talking about our body. Your body, you are the first altar. You are the first altar. You are the first one that it will connect to spirit. You are the first one that will connect to your ancestors, your spirits, and your guides, because it runs through your veins. It runs through your blood. So you were the very first altar. So when we get into the second altar, that is when we get into a form of prayer, right? We get into a system. We get into some system that works for us. Shout out to the 33 people in the building. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But when you get into the second altar, the second and the third altars, you begin to get into the spiritual systems, okay? So when we talk about spiritual systems, we begin to talk about how we can set up altars in a physical reality to help us open ourselves up to the second and third and fourth altars, aka the fourth and the fifth dimensions, different dimensions, because we're in the third dimension, so we have the fourth and the fifth. So you work with spiritual systems, and when you work with the spiritual systems are things that are set up within your home or your space to invite higher level or higher dimensions in. So this is why we talk about becoming the Neo invites you to connect on different levels. So when you become the Neo, you take care of the first altar, which is your body. Then you move to spiritual systems. Spiritual systems are tools, energy, systems that you can use to create or help you bring forth your reality in a more clearer form. So let's say you're not clear with moving energy through your body, which you should be now because you did connect with your higher self. But let's say you're not. You can't hear the messages that are coming through as clearly. That just means you're not being connected to the Neo, because when you are connected to the Neo, you can hear, you can see, and things begin to click with what's around you, what is going on. It will click. So when you connect to the different altar spaces, such as the fourth density, so the different levels, the second altar will be an altar space where you commune with your ancestors, your spirit guides, or you commune with any energy that is positive towards your growth process to assist you on your journey. So this is why you hear in the spiritual community, people set up physical altars. Yes, the first altar is your body and your vessel, but the second altar is a place where you go and you commune, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through talking to just speak and just want to have a conversation, or whether it's through meditating, just thinking, these are forms of altars in different dimensions, and it helps you communicate to different energies in different dimensions. So for me, when I began, I actually had a meditation area. Like I had, when I first started my spiritual journey and my spiritual process, I had like a meditation spot. And the biggest time, I want to say before, this was before my daughter, before I had my daughter, I had a space, not necessarily the space that I have now for an altar space or altar room, but I had a space which was just the living room, and we had a screen porch outside. And I used to meditate out there. But before even this, before I met my husband, before that space, I was actually staying with my mother. Right when I moved back home, I was living with my mom because things had fell apart in my relationship, and I went back home to my mom, and I had a space in the living room, and I had created literally a place where it was literally like my bed, and it was like a mat. I had bought me like a spiritual mat, prayer rug, whatever you want to call it, and I would get up. Well, before the rug, I had a towel. So I used like a white towel, just a cloth. And I put the mat down, and I used to pray. Like, not even just pray. It was just meditation. I didn't even know how to pray, to be honest. It was meditation. So that is when I wanted to get into the awakening of Kundalini, which is your first altar. That is when I was becoming the Neo. Because I started to learn about Kundalini energy and what that was and what the chakras was and how many chakras we have, which is over 100, but we only identify with about 7 of them. But when I first wanted to get into this and wanted to become my Neo self, I started working with the energy of what I had. And what I had was literally the floor space in front of me, a towel, and myself. It was me. So I began to close my eyes and meditate. And I would read all of these things and books and on how to open up the Kundalini energy and how to access that energy. And when it came down to it, the moments that I had, I would literally be on the floor meditating with my Neo self, connecting with my divine energy. And that is when the Neo had become open with my first altar. That is when I start connecting, and things begin to change for me. I stopped eating certain foods. I stopped doing certain things because I connected with what I felt that was true to me. So if you know me, I've never been a big meat eater. I don't like a lot of meats. I always loved seafood though. I love seafood. But I started to feel this shift of pulling away from different things, different foods, different things. For me, that is what I needed for my Neo self to connect with the divine. Was for me, I had to be vegetarian. I went vegetarian before I went vegan. But I went and took these different routes and used these different vehicles or systems to get to what I am now, which we'll talk about the elevated consciousness part on day 6. But to get to the first altar, I had to take care of the first altar and connect with the first altar. Then I went to the second altar. So finally I got a space where, for me, my second altar was literally getting a room. I actually had, this is when I had my daughter. I used her room before I knew she was coming, because I had connected with the first altar so much that Spirit told me that you're getting ready to have a child. And I knew she was coming, so I would go in her space and I would connect with the divine in her space. And that's where the second altar became a part of me. That is when I was in a physical space. I was able to use physical things such as crystals, incense, candles, physical things to help shift and change my reality. So when I had those physical things, I made that an altar, which means with altar spaces, it takes a level of discipline. You must be dedicated and disciplined in order to feed your altar. So when you meditate, when you pray, when you do these things, it takes a level of discipline to feed your body and your soul and your spirit. You have to be disciplined, because you cannot get results in life without discipline at all. So if you are taking a very lax approach to spirituality and you're thinking that spirituality is supposed to be love and light, peace and blessings and plants and watering the plants and going out in nature and twirling around, that is just not that easy. You have to have some level of discipline in order to bring results in this world. So the third altar will be what we call is like your ancestor altar, or a place, mostly an ancestor altar, basically, or a prayer room. It will be that room, that space will be only for your spiritual involvement. And that is when you begin to hear things from different energies, different forms of dimension. You will get information from those energies, because that altar space will be nothing but for that reason. So you will have an altar. Let's say you set up an altar in some cultures, which I am now all the way, well, I don't want to say I'm all the way in, but what I'm connected with is Santeria. You have different things that people connect with, but mine is ultimately Yoruba, the Yoruba tradition. So when you have these particular spaces, and I'm not going to go in too deep out of respect for who I am, the house I come under, and what I do, but I will tell you is that when you go into a system, you begin to create an altar space. And the altar space will consist of, I did a class over this about some months ago on what to have on the altar and why it's important to visit it and how to allow yourself to speak to your higher self. Because initially what you're doing, if you're the first altar, that means you're connected on higher levels of different altars. So when you have a physical altar, you're not creating that altar for your ancestors and for your guides, not just for them. Yes, they are for them, but they're for you, the higher self of you as well. So when you go to those places, it will be very easy for you to communicate with your higher self, or the higher energies of yourself, or the higher energies that work with you to help you exceed in certain things in your life. Whatever it is that you need to exceed in, it will be able to align certain things in your pathway for you to get there. So if you have a physical altar, if you have a physical prayer room, this is where you begin to connect with the Neo, because you are not only bringing in the energy of yourself, you're bringing in the energies of those that came before you that might be much stronger, much more connected, much more powerful than you are. Don't get it twisted. You are very powerful. Your higher self, your aura, everything that sits on your head is very powerful. Much more, I don't want to say much more, but just as powerful as working with a lot of extraterrestrial forces, such as deities or different things like that. Then they're not really extraterrestrial, but deities, other energies, higher energies, more sophisticated energies. There is your higher self that is just as good as those energies, that know how to do things. So the biggest part is working with your higher self. So when you create an altar space, when you create a physical prayer room, you now are becoming a part of helping yourself grow through a system. So this is why it's important with becoming the Neo. Once you become the one, which you did the process, now you have to create a place, a system, in order to be successful. Something that is of discipline that you create, that you visit, that you nurture, you care for like a child, like a baby. You care for this, and this will help you with ascending. This will help you with connecting with your higher self and getting the results that you have been asking for. I cannot express how many times I have people come to me that just simply want results. We'll get into that on day 5, I believe. But to get some sort of start, you must have an altar. You must have a physical space, right? You're the first altar, but you must have a second or a third or fourth altar depending on however you look at it. For me, like I mentioned, my first altar is me. The first altar is you. The second altar was a space that I just had for prayer and meditation. Then I elevated it and I went into actually getting a table and setting up and had glasses for my ancestors and certain things on there for my ancestors that I needed to build that connection with my altar, with my higher self. It was a cord. Because you got to realize, once you build that cord, you can't just cut it off. You just can't stop working. You can't just stop doing it because you cut the cord off to your higher altar. So you have different levels of what the altar space may look like. Let's say you don't want to get into an altar space and you just want to create a prayer room. You want to make that prayer room the best prayer room as possible. But let me go back to what I said. If you're working in this level of growing with yourself, you must have discipline to do something. So if you don't have discipline in any type of way, none of this will be able to last. All of the work that you did on day 1 and day 2, it will not work because you must have some sort of discipline and you must show that discipline. Just like you have a spiritual body and your first altar, you have to show that altar. You have to be yourself. You have to show, live by example. You have to be some sort of example in order for things to work. They will not work unless you prove it. And your soul and your spirit will not believe it unless you show them through proof. It needs proof. So having an altar space is the best way to kind of work this energy. A physical altar space or a prayer room, because it's awesome because it's able to help you shift and it's able to help you see your connection through the divine. You can see it. You can see how strong and how dedicated and how built you are, because it takes dedication to keep it up. So this is all for day 3. It's also becoming the Neo, becoming one with yourself. You are now one with yourself. You don't need anything but yourself to strengthen your realities. But now to make them stronger and magnified, you have to show and tell, like if you do in school. You have to show some sort of proof to yourself. So this is a reminder that through the systems, through all the many systems, I can't talk today, right? I can talk, I can speak very well. It's just the energy. So your words are very powerful. So whenever you have these systems, you want to show yourself that your systems are a form of reality. So create your altar space. Get your altar space together, because you guys, nothing will be, I don't want to speak this over your life, but I'm telling you, it's going to be very hard to manifest without discipline. So have an altar space. Have a space, a table with water and your white cloth. And there's so many videos on here that show you how to set up an altar. But the biggest thing that you want on your altar is a white, clean cloth. You want to have a glass of water, whatever you do, whether you do 1 glass of water, whether you do 7 glasses of water, whether you do 9 glasses of water, you want to have a glass of water. And that is because water is energy. It helps to bring in the higher altar into the lower altar, and is able to transmute and transform energy. It brings it back and forth. So you want to have your water, as well as it's able to help you give to your higher self, their spirits, your ancestors, your guides. It's an offering. So you want to have your water. You want to have the earth elements, so something like a plant, fresh flowers, something. You want to have an air element, your incense, or something that's bringing everything in. So now you have, and then the fire element will be a candle. So you have 4 elements. Remember that all things are very important as far as working with spirit. So you need at least the 4 elements on your altar space. And you make the 5th element, which is the divine Neo. So go to your altar space, create a prayer room. Even if you don't have an altar in your prayer room and you just have pillows or whatever is decked out, that is going to become your altar space. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. So I want to thank you guys for aligning with me, Ariana. And tomorrow we will be going into day 4. So excited. And I will be going live again. It makes it so much easier. Like when I edit these videos, it takes forever because I can talk on and on and on. You know me, I just, a breath of transmuting energy. The spirit just flows through me when I channel. So day 4, we are going to commune with the triggers. So we're going to work through how the triggers are going to elevate your life once you connect to them and commune with them, because they are going to show up multiple ways. And okay, so yes, they're going to show up multiple ways over and over and over. And the reason why we want to commune with them is because it is our emotional healing process. Our emotional healing process. So we will get back into that tomorrow. So excited. We're getting so much closer to day 6. I am going to be going live here over on my Instagram channel today. So follow me there. If you don't know, I know that one of my awesome wrenches put the links in there in the chat. Go to my YouTube or my Instagram channel. Follow me there, and I'm going to connect with going into the Lionsgate and why today is so important. Shout out to the 33 people, master number of Spirit, the Divine Self, my Father, Obatala, my Father, Ashe. Peace, blessings, Wadu.